competence, and more importantly, skills for innovation. Now, just like the previous presenter was talking about, it all starts with people, right? So a lot of us grew up with Intel. Not sure if everyone still remember the Intel bomb. Oh, yeah. Great. That tells some of our age too. So one of the purpose, right, that we always advocate is we create a world-changing technology that improves the lives of every person on this planet. And it is becoming increasingly important in our everyday life. At work, we use mostly devices. Of course, we have face-to-face interaction. At every day of life, before you sleep, I think you touch your phone. Before when you wake up, you do that too. And everything has a compute power within it, whether it's powerful or not. So, which is why it's important that we are bringing in more innovation technology to enable a lot of things better for our life. Now, here's a long history, right, within Intel, globally or at the region, right? We have been having a lot of collaboration with many partners within the ecosystem. This one way back in 1997, right? Of course, Intel is way older than that. Even Malaysia itself, Intel started as an offshore company outside of the US with our manufacturing up in Northern Penang since 1972. Much older than many of us here probably, right? It's a huge presence in Malaysia, right? So across globally, we have had a lot of collaboration with partners, right? Of course, you could see within the sponsor, in some of our partners that we work with. This is a very busy slide, but it does tell that across the years, decades, we've been working not only just bringing technology to the industry, but at the same time, something that's really close to our heart is education. For example, we had Classmate PC that's designed back in 2006, dedicated for education. And then we have other things around making devices connected, Wi-Fi, right? Which Centrino was back then a hot topic that we talk about. And then moving on, you have people, students, educators and students needing more skills, where we started the Intel for Youth initiative, more closer to the people and enabling them to be skillful. We also started the Intel AI for Future Workforce. Future Workforce meaning K-12 students, when they go into secondary school, when they go into high school, they are the future workforce that come out to work, right? So we're getting them ready as well, right? In the past, right, with technical skills that enable them to be more effective and future ready. And of course, all the way now, which is where we talk about AI, right? In the recent few years, since the pandemic, this whole burst on AI becomes so apparent, right? As of today, and the numbers are increasing, our skills for innovation, which we call SFI, have actually impacted 250,000 educators within the community, right? Some we don't even count, but that's where we touch. The impact is more than 100 plus private school and partnerships that we work together. More than 800 million learners reached. And for students itself, there's more than 1 million learners just within the program that we run, right? Now, here's the 3 pillars that Lawrence and I will be touching upon for today. Of course, we can't share a lot. It's 30 minutes. We want to share the key things that we are driving within the company on innovation and with our ecosystem partner. Now, first thing is, you see just now the slide talking about how we have innovate, how we work with partners, is building a very resilient education system, helping the partners with the Ministry of Education and all educators to create that. At the same time, we talk about skills for innovation, where we're investing time and effort really to help everyone who uses tech in the education industry with digital skills, right, that they require. And last but not least, we're also there to harness all these emerging technologies, for instance AI, in different level of people, from the youth to educators, amongst the learners and educators, on how they could harness technologies in place, right? We talk a lot about AI PC, but how do they use it? How do they be productive? How do they make it more effective? Now, here are some of the top technologies that we have, talking about how it impacts the student, right? It's a chart that talks about research that we have put together globally, right? On the left side, next to Laura said, we talk about Gen AI, how 51% of the teachers surveyed are using ChatGPT now, right? Apparently some countries were more, they're telling us. 44% of them have AI deployment in the short to medium term, right? And in the metaverse world, you have VR learners, like 275% of them feeling more confident when they put in these skills in place. 4 times more focused than the e-learning peers, right? Now, this is not to replace anything they're doing now, but to enhance what they're doing. So Lawrence, maybe tell me more about the rest of the pillars, like how they impact the students' learning.
Yeah, definitely. So this actually transitions nicely to the way how we want students to learn in the future as well. If let's say we look back 20, 30 years ago, the way how educators they teach and how we learn is very different. For example, here gamification of learning and e-sport, it can actually help to improve overall student performance. How we do that? Example, I'll take Roblox. It's a very good example as you have micro games, you can play games, and it helps train students in their logical thinking as well. Yeah, so I have brothers that if you ask them to, when they were young at the time, if you were to ask them to memorize things, it's very difficult. But if let's say you ask them to watch a cartoon or a movie, they can memorize those dialogues, those phrases very well. So these are just some of the examples. So blended learning can not only improve the overall students' performance, but help them to remember the content and understand how to apply all those they have learned. So yeah.
So here's another interesting fact, right? It is evolving so rapidly, right? There's definitely benefits for the educators and also the students. Here's some data that we have shown, right? I'll start off with the benefits for educators, right? More statistics here. 44% of the US teacher report, being burned out, right? Of course, I think it varies by country and region as well, depending on the nature of those. More apparently, 20 to 40% of the current jobs will be outsourced to technology. If it's a mundane work that you have to put in Excel and all, like, why not use technology with all this AI, right? Copilot, we're partners with Microsoft Copilot to help do that. Google has a lot more applications as well to do that. To help them save time, at the same time, use the time with to be closer face-to-face with students for other things that AI can't do, right? Now, at the bottom part, 55% of the teachers felt that they are ready to leave earlier than expected, right? Now, with technology and AI, right, 13 hours a week of the time could be free up using AI, like I mentioned, automating some tasks, right? Like if you want to do a survey form, in the past, like teachers would write it down one by one, and the cikgu would say, what do you do? Like, now you could use a lot of technology in place, right? And with AI, you could even do a summary or do analysis depending on what data you have. Now, Lawrence, tell us more about benefits for students in this sense.
Yeah. So as for students, even though today I'm not a student, but I do a lot of research offline as well. So for students, they see that LLM, things like ChatGPT can actually help a lot in the schoolworks. Like for example, 61% of college students think that AI tools, LLMs in this case, will actually become the new norm. Why? Do you think that this is something that it's so-called taking over what we do? In fact, it helps a lot in terms of research. Imagine you have tons of papers and things like that. You will go through all this. It's very time-consuming. And let's look at other matrices here. We have educators saying that AI technology can have positive impact in the student learning experience. So we spoke about helping in terms of research and also various other things, like for example, if let's say students they want to pick up the new skill sets, let's say new languages and things like that, they can do that as well. Translation, this can be done. Yeah.
Great. How many of you use AI? No? Go? Show of hands. Okay. Okay. If you haven't, let us know, right? We'll be able to give you more of that. Yeah. So Lawrence, let's talk more about just one example of how they are actually helping out. This is a good chart that shows that.
So just now I think shared about freeing up times, right? So what are some of those tasks that we can help to free up? So in this slide itself, right, as you can see, the blue color boxes are those time that we can reallocate to something that is, I would say, activities that can help support students in their learning. So, for example, let's say teachers, they need to prepare contents or even prepare test papers, these kind of things. With technology, with a powerful platforms, they can really help to speed things up. And this falls under the preparation. And what about evaluations and feedbacks? If you were to do all this manual work, you spend a lot of time. So you can actually save up to 3 hours per week if, let's say, you offload all of these with the device and AI, to help do all this. So as you can see, add up all these hours, you really save 20 to 30%. It's tremendous amount of time saving. Yeah, prevents educators from burnout and things like that.
Yeah, precisely. And you see those that without the blue boxes, where time can be better spent on coaching, right? Time can be better spent on things like social and emotional skill development, which is something that's so important that we continue to need educators in demand to do that. Yeah. Well, Lawrence, let's talk about how it has evolved and the majority of where we are, right, in the stage of home learning modality.
Yeah. So depending on the countries and which schools you go to, right? So for our perspective, we have a lot of interaction with the public schools over here in Malaysia. So we have a lot of work done with the Ministry of Education. So what we see here is there are some schools, they are really advanced. They already have something like a more of a blended hybrid learning kind of environment. And of course, we do have a private school as well. So the idea here is we want to move all of these towards the next gen integrated learning and teaching, utilizing things like AI, the future emerging cutting edge technologies in offloading not only the task but also help improve the students' learning experience. So just now, from the introduction itself, Lai Teng shared a lot about building a resilient education system. If we were to look at all the 3 pillars, the idea is not just all about technology. It's about helping educators, students to adopt technologies. Hence, we have programs and also, I would say, curriculums in place to help targeting both the educators as well as the students.
Well, well, it's what Lawrence was saying, right? Where we are coming from is partnering not just with the hardware partners, also with the software partners, because that includes integrating everything else, right? So Lawrence is going to talk a little bit more on the hardware level of the technology, but at the same time, I think we have our colleagues here as well who are working with the ecosystem partner, where we are enabling syllabus that are more the content, right, of these AI or in the education space, where it can be more interesting with AI, where it can be digitized, where it can make learning much more interesting as well. So we're not just working with the hardware partners, but also content provider, like I think locally we are working with a couple of partners over here, right? So Lawrence, tell us more about the innovation in the PC per se.
Yeah. So everyone talks about AI. Everywhere you go, from a product launch, vehicle, or even your washing machine nowadays, you have somehow some AI capabilities, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So AI today do very different things than what we envision it to be like in the future. Today, AI is more of an enhancement. Things that I talk about, such as your translation or even background blur when you enhance a video conferencing, things like that are what we call them enhancement. But in the future, we want AI to do much more. AI to have the context awareness of what is happening around us. recommend you the right content for your consumptions, or maybe can even help you. Let's say today you need to go somewhere for a meeting or things like that. It can tell you, with the weather conditions, with your traffic conditions, this is the best route when you need to leave. These are just some examples. And of course, with the education segment, we can, based on a student's interest, personalize a syllabus or a content for the students. So that is what we want AI to do for us in the future. So if let's say we were to look at the emerging usage model we have now, the choice that a lot of people have today is there's so much of options you have for devices, but which are the ones that are best suited for students, for learners? You can have a mobile phone, you can have a tablet, or you can have a PC. But if let's say you want to be able to support the new requirements, things such as let's say programming, just to name a few, or even things like computer aided design, you need a platform that can support all these future and emerging workloads, right? You can't be doing computer aided design on your mobile phone. It's not, the screen is not big enough for you to do that. You don't have enough computational power. Yeah. What about for educators? So in terms of educators, of course, the requirement also ever changing, from preparing contents, tests, and things like that. Where traditionally you do it on a typewriter, nowadays you can go through tons and tons of past year papers to analyze which are some of those questions maybe you should be targeting for your students. So these new requirements actually works best on a platform, in this case a PC, that has the performance and the capability to do this. Not only it has a better and longer battery life, but of course all the peripherals to support high-speed connectivity and things like that.
Well, we spoke about how we're harnessing the emerging technology, but that's the physical part of it. With technology, if we don't know how to use it right, it's also a danger. It's just like if you're given a car, you don't know how to drive it, right? It's actually not great, right? You know how to drive it, you need to drive it safely, carefully and all. So we talk about